Kang Taeson walked, looking around in search of one person. The monsters prowling around the ruined city irritated him. He called the fugitive a fool for having come so far. It was somewhere in Anyang, he noticed, looking at the monsters that were tearing apart a corpse right on the street. The monster's victim turned out to be the very fugitive he was looking for. He came closer to look, but he did not like the sight at all. The red-eyed horned monsters also noticed Kang Taeson. The system announced the number of each monster that paid attention to the player. Kang Taesong said he would like to turn off this feature. The monsters turned to Kang Taeson and rushed towards him with a loud howl. Kang Taeson turned to face them and did not move. There were 3 creatures, and they attacked at the same time. Kang Taeson quickly took out his weapon, ready to fight. He activated addition and multiplication under the system comments. The sharp sword in the player's hands cut through the monsters, and, having destroyed them, Kang Taeson could leave here. He returned home, hiding behind the high gates. A hand in a black glove loudly pounded on the gate. The gate swung open, and a guy in a protective suit stood on the threshold. It was the hard difficulty player Gum Young-gun, and he came to greet the returning Kang Taeson. Kang Taeson asked Gum Young-gun to send someone in his place next time, but he objected that there was no one else who could do it, and then asked what happened to the fugitive. Gum Young-gun was shocked at how quickly the fugitive died, considering he was a player on a high difficulty level. Kang Taesong clarified that he found 3 A-rank monsters near the corpse. Gum Young-gun was astonished by this news. A-rank monsters were comparable in strength to players on the high difficulty level. Such creatures nearby needed to be dealt with urgently. And Gum Young-gun asked Kang Taeson where exactly he had seen them. Kang Taeson said that there was no need to look for monsters, because he had already killed them. The friends went to the dining room, but Gum Young-gun did not stop his questions. Gum Young-gun couldn't believe that Kang Taeson was playing on a low difficulty level. Kang Taeson reminded that this is easy to verify, because he made his way through the labyrinth not alone, but with other players. Gum Young-gun said that all the low-level players except Kang Taeson either died immediately or later died from their wounds. It was a challenging terrain even for those playing at an average level, and for lower ranks it seemed deadly. Kang Taeson's strength amazed his friend, because he himself was inferior to him, despite his high level. Kang Taesong explained it all simply. The other players were simply too lazy. The friends reached a tent where they could get food. They were not happy with the ever-present potatoes, and Kang Taesong asked why they couldn't replace them with sweet potatoes or corn. Gum Young-gun explained that potatoes are cheaper, and distribution restrictions also play a role. Kang Taesong reminded that, as a low-level player, he didn't have a fast cultivation skill, and there was some kind of food everywhere he went. Someone's screams could be heard from outside. Someone was furiously accusing everyone of lying, and they were trying to calm him down. Kang Taeson assumed that the man had returned from a cleanup operation and that he would be arrested for disturbing the peace. But Gyeom Joon-gyun noticed that it was someone high level, which meant Kang Taeson would have to intervene. A moment later, Kang Taeson was indeed called to the scene of the brawl. The unknown young man refused to believe that what he saw was planet Earth, because the nightmare should have ended after the last raid. Out of anger, the stranger started a fight with everyone who tried to explain the situation to him, because he believed that they were playing a joke on him. Kang Taeson peeked out from the dining tent to see where Lee Tae-young was. Meanwhile, people continued to try to convince the stranger to listen and try to understand how much the world had changed while he was in the labyrinth. In response, well-wishers received only furious blows. Gum Young-gun wished his friend good luck as he headed off to deal with the problem. Kang Taeson threatened to kill him if he ate his potatoes before he returned. The conversation with the stranger began for Kang Taeson the same way as for the others, with an accusation of lying. The player who came out of the labyrinth was sure that he and those like him represented a real force, capable of dealing with a bunch of monsters that had attacked the Earth. Kang Taeson had seen many such self-confident people. Players after the labyrinth often found themselves unable to accept the new reality and went crazy. There was only one solution for such a case: to call the system to declare a duel. The stranger introduced himself. His name was Lee Jang-chun. He had seen Kang Taeson's messages in the general chat more than once and had an idea of who he was. Lee Jang-chong found it funny that a low-ranking player would challenge a high-ranking player, even though everyone knew that the difference in their strength was huge. "Shut your mouth and fight." Kang Taeson cut him off, "and then I will show you the real reality you are looking for." Lee Jang-chong took out his weapon and was ready to kill his opponent. He activated skills that made his blows especially powerful. His sword was ablaze with fire, and the crowd admired the skills this player possessed. The fight started quickly, and Lee Jang-chun delivered a brutal blow. This strike did not cause any damage to his opponent because Kang Taeson activated the first strike nullification. This ability was unknown to Lee Jung-chong, so he didn't understand why his powers weren't working. Now it was Kang Taeson's turn to strike. Lee Jung-chong activated Fortitude to reduce possible damage by half. Kang Taeson's skills allowed him to bypass this defense as well. The injuries Lee Jung-chun received were not that great, and he was confident of his victory. Kang Taeson clarified the Date 12 opponent and added the enhancements available to him. These were abilities that made the player very powerful and he could bypass any defenses. Lee Jang-hong tried to stop him after seeing the system's messages. Kang Taeson struck anyway and defeated his opponent. The damage dealt to Lee Jang-hong was 9,604. The duel ended, and Kang Taeson reminded them that they were on Earth and they had to admit the obvious. Lee Jang-hong, struggling to rise from the ground, still tried to argue. The realization of the situation brought tears to his eyes and made him regret that he had once gone to clear the labyrinth. The land was once peaceful, but one day the skies opened up, releasing countless monsters. A system has appeared in people's lives that offers each person a choice of 4 levels of game difficulty. After selecting a level, players entered the labyrinth and could only return to Earth after clearing it. The home planet turned out to be teeming with monsters. Kang Taeson believed that humanity now had only one choice: to try to save their world together. Gum Jun-gun greeted Kang Taeson after the match with approval. The people who gathered nearby took Lee Jang-hong to help him come to his senses. Kang Taeson didn't think it was a difficult victory, but Gum Jun-gun was curious about where his friend got his skills from. The Last Judgment and First Strike Reset were unknown to any of the players except Kang Taeson. Kang Taeson replied that he acquired such skills through hard work. The friend's attention was drawn to another noise, as if one of the other players was returning. It was a girl who was greeted joyfully by everyone around. The girl's name was Lee Tae-young. Kang Taeson went to visit Lee Tae-young at her house, which, as always, struck him with its interior, somewhat strange in a collapsing world. For Kang Taeson, all this love of luxury was unpleasant, and he said so out loud. Monsters roamed the streets, and Lee Tae-young brought huge paintings into her home. Lee Tae-yeon was the only one who quickly cleared the labyrinth. Kang Taeson was surprised that it was a girl. The girl herself believed that in difficult times it is useful to be passionate about something. She asked if it was true that it was Kang Taeson who taught the newbie a lesson. Lee Tae-young thought it was unusual for a low-level player to teach a high-difficulty player. The girl called the system, showing her indicators, and offered to show Kang Taeson his data. She thought Kang Taeson's level was pathetic, but when she said so, he assumed she was looking for a fight. Lee Tae-yeon extended her hand, retorting that it was just a test and that Kang Taeson had decent stats for an easy-level player. The player's level is determined by completing the labyrinth, and after that it is no longer possible to become stronger. Most high-level players had stats 1,000 times higher than Taeson, but due to his special skills, none of them could defeat him. Lee Tae-young told Kang Taeson to stand still. The girl activated skills that increased the power of her attack several times. Using maximum power and perfect accuracy, Lee Tae-yeon attacked Kang Taeson. Kang Taeson remained standing in place, unperturbed. Everything around was destroyed by Lee Tae-young's blow, but Kang Taeson remained unharmed and only asked the girl why she did it. She replied that she just wanted to have fun, but immediately asked how many special skills Taeson had. He said the number 230, and these were all skills that could be obtained regardless of the player's level. Lee Tae-yeon said that if Taeson had obtained these skills through his special strategy in the labyrinth, then everyone should have studied the capabilities of the labyrinth more thoroughly. Everyone was in too much of a hurry to clear out the monsters and get out. And now Kang Taeson saw no point in discussing past decisions. Lee Tae-young countered that if Kang Dae-sang had chosen the solo difficulty level from the start, then people would have been able to defeat all the enemies. Taeson himself knew that his skills were good on their own, but overall effectiveness in battle depended on other characteristics as well. Remembering the many people who died, Kang Taeson thought about what would have happened if he had chosen a high level. Taeson thought about those who had lost loved ones, and how he hadn't used his unique skills to even half their potential. Taeson didn't want to talk about this with Lee Tae-young. He preferred to ask her herself, since she had just returned from patrol. Lee Tae-young reported that there will be a new wave of invasion soon. This news worried Kang Taeson, and he said that they would not survive. A wave was a massive attack by monsters, the losses after which were enormous. In the first wave, people lost soul. In the second, half of the high-difficulty players died. The third wave has driven humanity into a single small town. Li Taeyan claimed that the upcoming fourth wave would include 2 C-rank monsters, dozens of A-rank monsters, hundreds of B-rank monsters, and an apostle. Kang Taesung admitted that 2 C-rank monsters were a problem even for Li Taeyang, and there were very few players left who could handle A-rank. The apostle seemed completely indestructible. Li Taeyang asked Taesun to take over Class C. Kang Taesun tried to refuse, but Li Taeyan was going to deal with the apostle, which meant there was no one else to fight the C ranks. Kang Taesun headed for the door when he was stopped by Li Taeyang's question about whether he was going to tell the others. Taesun believed that people needed to prepare in advance, but Li Taeyang believed that it was more important to have time to enjoy life. Taesun is strong. He can lead us to victory, the girl said, but I myself am a coward. She held a shining stone in her hand. Upon learning of the impending wave of invasion, people in the city became desperate. Gum Young-gun said that he had resigned himself to the inevitable, since humanity had already endured for a very long time in unbearable conditions. The player, who returned from the labyrinth just today, attracted the attention of his friends. Gum Young-gun was horrified out loud at such a fate. To break through the labyrinth, return to Earth, and learn that he would soon die. Gyum Jun Gyun asked Daesun how he himself was coping with this situation, since it was thanks to his efforts that people were able to survive for so long. The friends were sitting on the roof of one of the tall buildings and looking at the city, and Daesun admitted that he was angry. The fourth wave of invasion has begun. A huge crowd of monsters has broken through to Earth. Gum Jung-gun looked at them and asked Taesun who he should defeat in the upcoming battle. "See you in the next world," he said. "You will wait for me if you go there first." Kang Taesun activated long jump and stepped off the roof. During the flight, he also activated total city surveillance. Noticing the C-rank monsters, he landed right next to them. The system recorded a test of mental stability, self-control, and state of fear. Kang Taesun passed all the tests and received additional invulnerability. He was ready to fight and very angry. 2 huge C-rank monsters were right in front of Kang Taesun. The player activated full Overwatch, hoping that neither of the 2 monsters would be defensive. The system has determined that a defensive monster is present among the opponents and is preparing to attack. The monster was huge and had 148 million units of health. Kang Taesun was going to fight him with accelerated movements. He understood that in order to neutralize such a creature, he would need eternity. He turned to the second giant, studying its characteristics. It was a ranged attack monster with 1.2 million health. Kang Taesun managed to start the fight with the attacking monster successfully, damaging several of its tentacles. The tentacles were the monster's main weapon. They were so fast that it was almost impossible to dodge them. Kang Taesun was saved from their destructive power by the skill Zero First Strike. The only thing he could do next was try to predict the trajectory of the next blows. Kang Taesun activated the acceleration skill. He didn't have much time to fight. He managed to land several devastating blows before a second monster entered the battle. The defensive-type monster was defending the attacking monster. It was not for nothing that they were sent out in pairs. Kang Taesun managed to break through into the field, where he could only be attacked by one of the pair of monsters. The attacking monster remained outside the battle. Kang Taesun remembered Li Taeyan and regretted that she, with her high stats and legendary equipment, was not by his side. Kang Taesun had to activate all the skills that increased the power of his attacks. But it wasn't enough. If Li Taeyan were in his place, he thought she would have taken care of the attacker first. But for Kang Taesun himself, a blow from any of these monsters would be fatal. He decided to deal with the one with more health units first. Launching his special skills, Kang Taesun attacked the defensive monster. Even with them, Kang Taesun was inferior to the C-rank creatures many times over. But this only meant that it was necessary to go to the limit and use everything that was available to use unique abilities. The damage that Kang Taesun managed to inflict on the monster was 92236,816 points. After such a blow, the monster was defeated, and all that was left was to finish him off. There was still an attacking monster left, and it was necessary to fight it immediately. Kang Taesun used up all his attack resets, and only had enough stamina for one more hit. He had a hard and tedious job ahead of him. Hit, dodge, hit, and so on 25,000 times. Without unique skills, Taesun was left with only normal attacks. Kang Taesun did not think he was capable of winning such a fight. The player entered the fight with fury. The system noted that, while in a state of complete concentration of body and soul, he had earned the skill Height of Concentration. But because Kang Taesun was not in the labyrinth, this skill was sealed. Kang Taesun defeated the monster after a grueling battle. It seemed to him as if this fight had lasted for a whole month. Wounded and tired, Kang Taeson moved towards the base. He saw many people die and was angry at them because they were high difficulty level players. But he, a player of the most basic level, was the only one left alive. He remembered all his acquaintances from the base. Kang Taeson walked past the bloody bodies and recognized their faces. Gyum Joon-gun died just like the others. The last one Kang Taeson found was Lee Tae-yeon, sitting on the side of the road. The strongest in the world, who completed the labyrinth on solo difficulty, she was also dead. Her killer, the Apostle, was next to her. The system has recorded that the Apostle has noticed Taeson, and this threatens the player with death. Kang Taeson managed to reflect the intimidation effect. He managed to activate high concentration. He was ready to fight the Apostle. It was a brutal fight in blood and smoke. The monster was too strong for Taeson. Is this the end? The player thought. The Apostle struck him down and threw him onto the stones, but system activated the skill Fortitude, which keeps the player alive for 1 minute. Kang Taeson couldn't feel his legs and wanted to die, because Fortitude only delayed the moment of death without bringing healing. In a minute, Kang Taeson was supposed to die. He thought about how he had made a mistake once, choosing too easy a level to complete the labyrinth. But remembering the high-level players who died, he transferred his anger to them, because they did not even try to obtain special skills in the labyrinth, but simply hurried to pass it as quickly as possible. He believed that if they tried to improve their skills, then together they could defeat their enemies. But Taeson understood that anger no longer mattered and could not change anything. Humanity was lost. He noticed the shining crystal that Lee Tae-yeon was still clutching in her hand. Despite the Apostle, Kang Taeson decided to try to get this thing. Severely wounded, he crawled towards the girl, using the time stop skill. The crystal that Lee Tae-yeon held was the Ouroboros Bezoar. This artifact could be used once to return to the past. Kang Taeson was amazed that Lee Tae-yeon had such an opportunity. He looked back one last time at the dying world and the monster that had almost killed him. Clutching the Bezoar in his hand, Kang Taeson was transported into empty space. He saw himself as a miserable, huddled child. He realized that he was vulnerable then in front of his parents, who took out their anger on him and assured him that he was worthless. Now he knew that he was not worthless at all and that he had abilities. A moment later, Kang Taeson woke up lying on the wooden floor. He saw empty bottles and boxes of prepared food. He picked up his phone and looked at the date displayed on its screen. It was just before the new year. People were enjoying the holiday. It was then that the heavens broke through and a different life began for everyone. Kang Taeson found pizza in his room and enjoyed the long-forgotten taste. After the apocalypse, there will be nothing to eat except potatoes and monsters. Taeson wondered why Lee Tae-yeon didn't use the artifact herself. He went out onto the balcony to look at the city, realizing that the nightmare was about to begin. People below admired the fireworks. Someone exchanged gifts. A bright flash lit up the entire sky in an instant. People did not immediately understand what was happening, mistaking the noise and flashes for a new show. Only after some time did some begin to suspect that something bad was happening. Kang Taeson watched the monster flying from the sky from his balcony. Now he knew it was a B-rank monster. The first notification from the system appeared in front of Taeson. Panicked people on the streets received the same notifications. All the inventions of mankind, all the technology and weapons were useless against the monsters. The monster that destroyed the combat helicopter was shown live on TV. The system promised a way out of this situation, the grace of a deity. In order to gain power, it was necessary to clear the labyrinth of monsters. The monsters destroyed cities and people by attacking and breathing fire. Even small children could not escape the common fate. Kang Taeson walked calmly among the frightened crowd. He did not consider the system's promises to be mercy. It seemed to him that the deity watching what was happening was simply enjoying the spectacle. Kang Taeson thought back to his childhood and his younger self before looking at the messages about the difficulty levels offered by the system. The easy difficulty level offered plenty of accessible food and safe places. The normal level was more dangerous, but with a little effort anyone could pass it. At high level, there were strong monsters everywhere except for a few protected places. There was also a solo mode, where the player found himself alone in the labyrinth, surrounded by hostile monsters and system characters. The system stated that the survival rate of players at the solo level was 0, but Kang Taesung reached out to the selection bar. "You are there, aren't you?" "Wait for me," he said, entering the labyrinth. The lone wolf mode brought him to the streets of a small town with old 3-story buildings. Kang Taeson looked around, feeling nostalgic. He opened the general chat, and the first message was already there. In solo mode, the chat was his only way to communicate with the outside world, but now he just wished him luck and closed it. He remembered Lee Tae-young telling him about the system characters on this level. She claimed that the characters seemed to have intelligence and a will of their own, just like real people. Near the wall, right on the ground, sat one of these characters and dozed. Kang Tae-sun looked at him. He was a young guy in protective clothing, and on a low difficulty level, the gatekeeper was a gray-haired old man. Kang Tae-sun studied the gatekeeper carefully. He saw that the power of this system character surpassed even Lee Tae-young. The gatekeeper revealed that his name was Brockenman, and that those who die in the labyrinth in solo mode become gatekeepers. Brockenman told Tae-sun that the labyrinth was an opportunity given to humanity by an all-powerful being. The gatekeeper suggested that it would have been better if humanity had simply perished painlessly in the first wave of invasion. Kang Tae-sung noted that Brockenman acts as if he has gone through the same thing as everyone else. Tae-sun thought that the system characters at this level were former inhabitants of destroyed worlds. The gatekeeper was puzzled by Kang Tae-sun's calmness, who did not react to his words in any way. Brockenman showed the door to the tower, from which the clearing of the labyrinth floors began. He told about these floors. There were 100 of them, and they were very different from each other. Not having learned anything new, Kang Tae-sun indifferently asked if that was all. Brockenman said that there is a merchant in the labyrinth. He will tell everything else. Lee Tae-young called the gatekeeper a rude person and said that she almost died before she even entered the labyrinth. The gatekeeper offered to give Kang Tae-sun items that would be useful for the first time. The gatekeeper took a spear with an unusual tip. He raised his spear as if to strike, but only touched Kang Tae-sun's shoulder. Thus, Kang Tae-sun received worn-out leather armor and a rusty sword with minimal power. "This sword is made of bronze," Tae-sun said to the gatekeeper. "Don't like it?" Brockenman asked, and Kang Tae-sun answered, "No." The gatekeeper thought for a moment and threw another item to Kang Tae-sun. It was a small leather bracer with weak properties. Lee Tae-yeon didn't talk about such things. The gatekeeper said that Tae-sun had received a couple of skills, and he needed to check by entering the labyrinth. When Kang Tae-sun crossed the threshold, the gatekeeper wished him good luck. He was surprised that the new player was smiling, as if he wanted to start completing the labyrinth as soon as possible. As a gatekeeper, Brockenman met various heroes who were never able to complete the labyrinth. Kang Tae-sun seemed completely different, and it wasn't a matter of talent and experience. The gatekeeper would like this player to survive. The system told Tae-sun that in ancient times the labyrinth was created by a great magician. The monsters of the labyrinth moved quickly and silently, killing all living things. Kang Tae-sun stood at the threshold, thinking about what lay ahead of him. The monsters on the first floor were not as dangerous as they might seem. They could be killed with stabbing blows. Kang Tae-sun knew that there were many secret places in the labyrinth, exploring which could earn him a special reward. Previously, Tae-sun was asked if the merchant was at his most basic level. Tae-sun believed that characters like the merchant exist in any mode and that you can buy potions from them. Lee Tae-yeon explained that the merchant's inventory is huge in single-player mode. She showed Kang Tae-sun her black bracelet, which reduced damage taken in battles by 50%. Lee Tae-yeon said that the merchant had many other interesting artifacts, but she did not have enough gold to buy them. Lee Tae-young found the door leading to the merchant's shop. The merchant was a gray-haired man smoking a pipe. He was surprised that the player had already come to his shop. The system informed Tae-sun that he had met the Lost King, but Tae-sun asked the stranger if he was a trader. Kang Tae-sun did not see any goods on the shelves and reported this to the merchant. The merchant replied that an entire floor would not be enough for his goods, and he was not obliged to show his treasures to Tae-sun. He slammed his fist on the table and declared that he was not there by choice, but because of what had happened to his world. He suggested that Kang Tae-sun show his worth before talking. It was necessary to go down into the underground corridor and get out of there alive in order to look at the goods in the shop. Kang Tae-sun asked if all he had to do was survive, and the merchant called him a weirdo. Kang Tae-sun asked if he needed to clear the entire labyrinth to buy something, but that wasn't necessary. The merchant looked at Tae-sun descending into the dungeon with surprise, because other players were afraid to enter it and hesitated at the threshold. The merchant had never seen players like Tae-sun before, but he was sure he wouldn't return from his first assignment. Kang Tae-sun walked down the stairs and still didn't notice any differences from the simplest level. At that very moment, he noticed his opponent, a large rat. On a low difficulty level, such a monster was the boss of the 5th floor, but here it was in the very first task. The first bite of the big rat deprived Kang Tae-sun of 10 health points. The player recalled how, on a low difficulty level, a large rat had to be attacked in a group because it was too fast an opponent. The large rat in this dungeon also had super speed, which Tae-sun remembered from previous experience. Last time, the players spent a long time chasing a large rat together in order to break through its defense. Kang Taeson checked his stats. They were even lower than the first time, and he couldn't count on anyone's help. Lee Tae-yeon said that she had to hide and run away from enemies. The solo mode required a feat to be performed in the first mission to receive a reward, so Taeson resolutely began to fight. Kang Taeson, when fighting the first monster, wanted to get the best skills and not just kill the enemy. He couldn't be faster than the big rat, but he could try to guess its attacks from its breathing and muscle contractions. Kang Taeson saw that the big rat was frightened by his agility and was becoming slower. He knew this was his chance, but he needed to take care of his defense. Kang Taeson remembered the bracer that the gatekeeper had given him. When the big rat attacked, he put out his bracer. Taeson used the bracer. A large rat hung on the bracer, clinging to it with its teeth. Kang Taeson managed to finish off the monster in a few blows. He returned to the merchant, who clearly was not expecting him. In a sack, Kang Taeson brought a large dead rat. Other single-player players have reported in chat that the trader is very difficult to communicate with. Lee Tae-yeon was very angry as she recalled her interaction with the merchant. Upon seeing Taeson, the merchant only expressed surprise that he had returned. Kang Taeson unfolded his bag and placed his trophies on the table. The merchant asked if Taeson had killed the big rat instead of running away from it. Looking at the meat and skin, the merchant noted that not only had Kang Taeson killed her, but he had done so without damaging the skin. He agreed to show Kang Taeson his wares. Kang Taeson would like to purchase a siege shield. He needed the biggest one they had in the shop. Kang Taeson wanted to use it to crush his enemies. The merchant opened a door made of radiance. He got exactly the kind of shield that Kang Taeson needed. After looking at the shield's characteristics, Kang Taesong noted that equipment of such quality had previously been available to him no earlier than the 7th floor. The merchant named a price, but Taeson didn't have that much gold, and he turned around to go down into the dungeon for more trophies. The merchant stopped him and gave him the shield as a gift. Then the merchant took out goods that Kang Taeson would have enough money for. These were various potions and artifacts. The merchant said he wanted to do something good for Taeson. Kang Taeson wanted to know the reason for this arrangement, but the merchant called the gift an investment. He urged Taeson to choose a suitable potion. These were elixirs of health and speed, very necessary when passing the labyrinth. But Kang Taeson believed that he needed something else more now. Lee Tae-yeon said that in solo mode, potions should be saved for the upper floors. Kang Taeson thought that he wouldn't need these potions right now. He would rather buy a bow and arrow. Long-range weapons have helped him avoid many dangerous situations in the past. Kang Taeson asked how much money the merchant would give him for the big rat and said that he would buy a bow and arrow with it. This act changed something in the merchant's behavior. The merchant reminded Kang Taeson that it was impossible to restore health in the labyrinth without additional funds. The merchant also told about the Living Spring, a place where you can heal as much as you want while you are on first floor. The merchant marked the location of the Living Spring on the map of Taeson and said that it was guarded by a tyrant old man. When the merchant told Lee Tae-yeon about the spring, he cursed and wished for her to hide there and die of hunger. Kang Taeson guessed that the merchant treated Lee Tae-yeon this way because the girl ran away from the big rat. Kang Taeson was able to win and return unharmed. Killing the monster changed the labyrinth character's attitude towards the player. When Kang Taeson met the next rat on the first floor and killed it with his shield, he gained new skills. Noticing the many notifications, Kang Taeson looked at the new features he now had. These characteristics could be earned last time, 20th or 40th floors, and now he got them on the first. The otherworldly interference skill allowed you to steal the enemy's power after each victory, but it did not work outside the labyrinth. Kang Taeson realized that he had not earned this ability now, but when he fought the C-rank monster, he was too exhausted to look at the notifications then. Returning in time, Kang Taeson found himself in the labyrinth again, and the skill he had earned was then revealed again. Kang Taeson didn't know if he had retained all of his abilities from the future, but he just needed to go towards his goal and become the strongest. After closing the notification windows, the player headed towards the source of life. In the long corridor, he met the big rat again. This did not surprise the player. He expected that the monsters would guard the passage to the source. In a moment, there were more rats. Surrounded by large rats, Kang Taeson found himself in a difficult situation. The system noted Kang Taeson's concentration and lack of fear. He began the fight with determination, using his new shield. His self-confidence allowed him to receive an immediate increase in all stats. This allowed Kang Taeson to match the rats in reaction speed. He defeated 2 rats and was able to level up. The remaining big rat was scared. Kang Taeson easily killed the last enemy. He reached the door and walked out of the corridor into a clearing covered with green grass. It was one of the safe places where enemies couldn't get in, so Taesan calmly approached the spring. He drank water without fear of attack. Water from the living spring completely restored all player stats. After resting near the source until the next morning, Kang Taesan opened a general chat. Solo player Kang Jun-hyuk asked if he had to enter the labyrinth. A normal difficulty player suggested that someone clear the floor together. Another player asked what the first monster would look like. Kang Taesang noted that players of all other levels can communicate with each other, while solo players can only use chat. He saw a message from Lee Tae-young in the chat. Lee Tae-young wrote that she didn't know what to do. Kang Taesan thought it was unusual to see Lee Tae-young flustered, but he remembered that the system had previously detected the girl's increased anxiety. Kang Taesang knew that singles would not start appearing en masse for at least a month. Lee Tae-young was surprised to receive a new message in the chat. Kang Taesan wrote to the players about what awaited them in the labyrinth. He knew that of all the loners, only Lee Tae-yeon would survive. He closed the chat. It was time for him to move on. The system defined the meat of a large rat as conditionally edible only if there was nothing else to eat. Kang Taesan began to chew the rat meat. The system detected poisoning and Taesan felt unwell. He drank water from the spring, which completely restored his health. Kang Taesan continued to eat the poisonous meat, washing it down with healing water. When he had satisfied his hunger, the system reported that he had developed immunity to poisoning due to the poisoning he had experienced. Now Kang Taesan stood above the source, about to earn another unique ability. He entered the water reluctantly. Diving headfirst into the water, Kang Taesan tried to hold his breath as long as possible. It was not easy. He thought that drowning was one of the most painful deaths. Kang Taesan only emerged when he felt death was near. The system recorded that this test allowed him to obtain 2 unique skills. Kang Taesan also saw that his characteristics were largely the same as those he had before the time travel. He didn't allow himself to waste time thinking about it. He was going to train and earn abilities. Taesan's messages in the chat caused amazement among the other players. In these messages, they read about the ways in which Kang Taesang improved his skills. Player Kang Jun-hyuk couldn't bring himself to do as written. Kang Taesan continued to train his abilities, changing the combination of conditions to obtain more skills. He trained with the weapon while holding his breath. This gave him special skills in combat. Having gained over 10 unique abilities, Kang Taesan earned the title of Skill Player. He was pleased with the result achieved. The player will be able to use the acquired skills when fighting monsters in the labyrinth. After checking his characteristics, Kang Taesan headed away from the source. Skills like Last Judgment or Nullification allowed defeating much more powerful opponents. In the corridor, Kang Taesan was attacked again by a large rat. Kang Taesan raised his shield over her, but did not strike. The rat bit his leg. Kang Taesan waited until the system reported that he was in critical condition before he threw the rat away with his shield. He continued to reflect the monster's attacks, receiving the block ability for this. This was not the skill he was looking to acquire, so the fight with the rat continued. The endurance skill could nullify a blow that should have finished off the player and several subsequent ones. Kang Taesan once told his friends about this ability because no one except him knew about it. The others thought that Kang Taesan had some very unique skills. Special skills in the labyrinth could be learned from another person. It was still possible to do something that no one else could do. Kang Taesang found a way to create an effect close to the desired skill. To gain stamina that would reset a fatal blow, one had to withstand attacks that could have been fatal to the player. Therefore, Kang Taesan continued to fight while being seriously wounded. He did not refuse challenges because they provided an opportunity to acquire very useful skills. He told Lee Tae-young and Gum Jun-gun about his discoveries. His friends laughed at him, considering such behavior strange. Having gained new skills after the battle with the rats, Kang Taesan returned to the spring to recuperate. He turned to the system, trying to think of what other special skills he could learn here. He managed to come up with several options when suddenly he was distracted by a rustling sound. An old man in armor appeared in the living spring clearing. Kang Taesan reacted immediately, covering himself with his shield. Kang Taesan knew that the monsters had no way to the source, so the old man was a character from the labyrinth. The old man asked Taesan if he was a traveler. That was the name given to those who had passed the tests in the labyrinth, and Taesan agreed that he was one of them. Lee Tae-young told me about this old man, a servant of some god. While Taesan was remembering, the old knight attacked him with his fists. It was not a lethal move. The old man hit through the shield, and the system reported that the Deathline skill was activated. The blow was very strong. It was not easy for Taesan to withstand it. The system reported that Kang Taeson had withstood an incredible force. After the next blow to the shield, Kang Taeson opened the reflection skill. Then the old knight swung his fist at his opponent's face so that Taeson did not have time to dodge. "It's amazing," the old man exclaimed after that. "I thought I would score many times more points." He broke the wall with Kang Taeson. The old man was pleased and said that Taeson had surprised him. After all, Taeson first covered himself with a shield, and then released it to reduce the force of the collision. Kang Taeson said that he couldn't stand still and made the old man laugh. The knight stretched out to Sanu hand and said that he did not intend to kill him, but believed that he would have withstood a mortal fight. The old man was impressed by the fact that Taeson fought like crazy, and also by the skills he possessed. Kang Taeson was surprised that the Labyrinth character knew about skills. The old man introduced himself as a seeker of God named Ainsal. Lee Tae-yeon was also at the Living Spring. She was very upset and exhausted from fighting with rats. She did not expect an attack in a safe place, and the stranger who attacked her with his fists scared her. The gray-haired knight in armor called her a coward and never hit her. He left the girl sitting on the grass and walked away. The old man took Kang Taeson by the hand and helped him up. Ainsal called himself a paladin who didn't like to bully the weak. What he did was a test for travelers in the labyrinth. Kang Taeson received approval from Ainsal. This explained to Kang Taeson why the knight treated him differently than Lee Tae-young. He asked the old man what god he was looking for. There were many gods in the labyrinth, which Lee Tae-young described as evil and disgusting. They could test and reward players. Gods can only be encountered in solo mode. Ainsal was happy to talk about his goddess. Her name was Levinanoff. She was the goddess of love. Ainsal worshipped her along with others since his youth. Now his world was destroyed, and Ainsal was the only one left who knew about the goddess. Ainsal entered the labyrinth in search of her, but found no trace of her. Kang Taeson looked at the knight and thought he knew where his Levinanoff was. This goddess was brutally killed. Lee Tae-young found her some time ago and shared her horror in the chat. Ainsal wanted to know one thing from Kang Taeson. He asked if Taeson was in a hurry to get out of the labyrinth. He offered to teach the player the abilities that the goddess Levinanoff gives. Kang Taeson immediately agreed. This surprised the old knight. He expected at least some doubts from the player. Kang Taeson just wanted to know what Ainsal would demand from him in return. Ainsal suggested that this be considered an apology for the surprise attack. Kang Taeson asked if the knight could have not attacked at all. Ainsal said that he only apologizes to those he considers worthy. It was important for the old man not to disgrace the gods with his behavior. He offered Kang Taeson to hit him with his shield. Many of the labyrinth skills are dependent on the player's weapon. Sword players received sword skill. Young Ainsal had a special talent called the Art of Air Weapons. The goddess personally praised this skill. Ainsal was going to teach Kang Taeson this skill. Kang Taeson informed the knight that he saw no particular benefit in combining skills. He thought about how he would prefer other skills. If you have an extra hit, Ainsal said, the damage should be around 4. Ainsal ordered Kang Taeson to attack. Kang Taeson brought his shield down on his head. Ainsal took 4 damage and asked if it was necessary to hit so hard. The old man told me to try again, but to use my fists. Kang Taeson attacked again, this time without a weapon. His fist dealt 2 damage to Ainsal. Kang Taeson realized that the damage changed depending on the type of weapon used. Ainsal explained that if you take a sword plus a 20 and a glove plus 50, then the damage to the enemy will be counted only from the weapon. If you hit with a fist, the damage from the glove will be counted, but the damage dealt cannot be combined. Kang Taeson said that these are obvious things, which is why no one hangs weapons on themselves. Ainsal believed that using only one type of weapon during a fight was foolish. Fighting in the labyrinth required terrible strain on the entire body. Ainsal stated that his body is his weapon, and his weapon is part of his body. Ainsal came up with a way to combine basic skills and damage from all equipment, and called it the Art of Air Weapon Mastery. Kang Taeson was amazed that the damage of the entire attack could be combined. Ainsal said that Kang Taeson understood correctly. Ainsal's special skill affected not only weapons, but every part of the body. When wielding it, one could strike with hands, shoulders, or feet, and the total damage was counted. Players used to receive inventory that they felt was useless. This could be very important as Kang Taeson progresses further into the labyrinth. Kang Taeson called this skill amazing. Ainsal said that ordinary adventurers would never gain such a skill. He was glad that Kang Taeson agreed to study without a shadow of a doubt. Ainsal placed his hand on Kang Taeson's shoulder. He shared his skill with the player. Kang Taeson instantly received a whole stream of knowledge. The creator of the skill was able to grant the player a top-tier skill. Ainsal advised Kang Taeson to train every day and gave him an old ring. Kang Taeson thought that in the past he would have simply thrown away such a trinket, but now he would wear it. Ainsal regretted out loud that now Kang Taeson would still not be able to fully use the abilities he had received. So he suggested that Taeson train together. Kang Taeson saw no reason to refuse. Taeson took his shield and stood opposite Ainsal. The knight attacked him again, trying to knock him down with his fist. Kang Taeson parried the blow with his shield. Ainsal hit the shield with his knee. Kang Taeson blocked all of his attacks, increasing his shield skill. Ainsal was stronger, and at the end of the two-day fight, Kang Taeson was thrown onto the grass. Kang Taeson gained unique abilities thanks to his battle with a more powerful opponent. Ainsal watched approvingly as Taeson checked his stats. The old knight asked Kang Taeson to promise him two things. Kang Taeson shouldn't pass on the skills he received from Ainsal to pathetic and useless players. Otherwise, the old man would kill him. Ainsal said he hoped for a meeting with Labyrinth as if it were a miracle. Kang Taeson thought that if Ainsal found his goddess, he would either save her or die with her. If Ainsal doesn't find her, then Labyrinth will definitely die. Kang Taeson was wondering whether to tell the old man about the goddess. When he told him that he knew where she was, Ainsal was amazed. The knight even accused Taeson of trying to play a joke on him. He said that he had been looking for the goddess throughout the labyrinth. Kang Taeson was not surprised by the distrust. Taeson had something that described the labyrinth. Ainsal cried out that there were no maps in the labyrinth. Ainsal asked if this could be a divine call. Kang Taeson encountered an object that showed the location of a deity. This horn was shown to Taeson by Lee Taeyeon because she couldn't help but share. The girl considered this object useless because the deities seemed terrifying to her. Kang Taeson considered the horn a useless trinket. He remembered where the gods were and was able to tell Ainsal the place where to look for Labyrinth. The old man was very happy and said that now he was in debt to Taeson. Now Ainsal had to make his way to the 78th floor. He wanted to thank Kang Taeson before he left. The old man gave Kang Taeson a bronze ring. Kang Taeson saw that this was a very powerful artifact. Ainsal said goodbye and set off on his way. He called out to his goddess as he walked. Kang Taeson thought that if Ainsal managed to find the goddess, she would survive. But it could also be that Labyrinth is already dead. Kang Taeson went to the labyrinth to catch big rats, which was now easy for him. The player tried to gain the powers of the killed creature, but failed, as he was much smarter than it. Before heading to the second floor, Kang Taeson was going to stop by one more place. He knew about the existence of secret rooms in the labyrinth. Those who found them received generous rewards. You could get a potion, a magic staff, or a ring. Only one person could enter the secret room, so players competed for this opportunity. Kang Taeson lost many of these rooms to competitors. In solo mode, he was able to open the room without interference. The room looked empty. The previous rooms that Taeson had visited were also arranged in this way. The room looked useless, the players walked past it. Kang Taeson began to examine the stonework of the walls of the room. He tapped each brick in different ways. He pressed on the bricks on the floor. He searched for the secret entrance for a long time, improving his own detection skills. Kang Taeson opened the secret room. There was a chest in the opened room. A large rat was waiting by the wall. Kang Taeson easily caught the rat by the tail. He threw it on the floor so that its weight would press the secret pedal. An arrow that flew out of the trap hit the rat. Kang Taeson managed to get to the disarmed trap. The player had to catch the next arrow with his hand. He walked forward, despite the arrows that were no longer flying one by one. Kang Taeson was clever enough to catch them. He took the arrows for himself. Now he wouldn't have to buy them from the store. He received paralyzing and poisoned arrows. Kang Taeson returned to the first trap and the shots were repeated. Having collected 100 arrows, Taeson headed towards the chest. It was necessary to deflect the arrows and quickly run to the target. Kang Taeson was going to show his best side. He activated the attack in one breath. He caught the arrows flying at him with both hands and added them to his armament. Some had to be blocked using the reflect skill. Thanks to reflection, Kang Taeson had more space to move. He stepped on the last trap. She fired 15 arrows at him instead of the expected 9, which Taeson was almost prepared for. Kang Taeson wasn't sure he could beat them all off, so he decided to take advantage of the situation in a different way. The arrows hit him, causing serious damage. Kang Taeson allowed his condition to become critical. While in severe pain, he gained the pain relief skill. Kang Taeson reached the lever in the wall and disabled the traps. Now he could open the treasure chest he had come to this place for. The chest contained an oddly shaped wooden staff. Although on the easiest difficulty level, there was nothing important to be found in the chests on the first floor. The system designated it as the Flame Staff, capable of generating fireballs. Kang Taeson received such a special item because he played on solo mode. Having received the trophy, he could leave the secret room. A large rat tried to attack him. Kang Taeson easily repelled the attack despite only being able to use one arm. Even in his crippled state, he managed to kill a large rat, gaining a few more useful skills. Kang Taeson returned to the living spring. With the help of water, he healed all the wounds he received. He checked all the new abilities he had acquired and noted that they would be useful to him on the upper floors. The most valuable acquisition was the Staff of Flame, which could produce fire charges. Kang Taeson was convinced that there was nothing more to look for on the first floor. It was necessary to go to the stairs guarded by the most powerful creature, which was called the Floor Boss. Kang Taeson approached the door behind which the stairs to the second floor began. A huge rat was waiting for him outside the door. Kang Taeson greeted the monster. The rat squealed and bared its teeth. On the easiest difficulty level, such a creature was located on the 10th floor, and defeating it was not easy even for a team of players. The giant rat charged with a terrifying appearance. Lee Tae-young had to resort to trickery to defeat such an opponent. The girl spilled oil in the room and set it on fire. Kang Taeson decided to use the flame staff. He inflicted significant damage on the giant rat early in the fight. Then Kang Taeson took up his bow and arrow. He used paralyzing arrows first, then poisonous ones. The effect produced by the arrows fired from the secret room seemed curious to Taeson. The player managed to paralyze the monster with well-aimed hits and then poison it. The weakened creature continued to attack, but received more damage from Kang Taeson's blows. Kang Taeson knew that soon after the giant rat's vital signs dropped to a critically low percentage, the Berserker mode would activate. In the past, it was a surprise to players when a monster stopped responding to their shots. Kang Taeson held out his shield in front of the frantic rat. Taeson's best stat was dexterity, which he used to fight the Berserker. He managed to hit the enemy, but he himself was also wounded. Kang Taeson used his unique skill to keep his breathing from getting out of hand. He managed to hit the giant rat with a few well-aimed blows. The monster dealt serious damage to Kang Taeson, taking away 24 units of health. This was becoming dangerous. Taeson was afraid that he wouldn't survive even a couple of attacks. Kang Taeson withstood the next attack with the help of the Reflect ability. Speeding up, Kang Taeson successfully launched a counterattack, causing the rat to suffer significant damage. Taeson was going to finish the fight faster. He dealt a crushing blow to the monster. The giant rat received 20 damage. The creature collapsed to the floor in agony. The system recorded Kang Taeson's victory. The player has examined the rewards and upgrades received as a result of this battle. Kang Taeson expected this, but the level up was nice. For defeating the boss of the first floor, Kang Taeson received potions similar to those he had previously found on the 50th floor of the easiest level. Sitting down right on the rat's corpse, Taeson drank the potions he had acquired. Both potions increased strength. All existing player characteristics have increased significantly. Kang Taeson was pleased because he had only passed the first floor. The new skill still needed to be tested. It turned out to be counterattack, an ability no less useful than reflection. Kang Taeson checked everything he wanted and lay on the giant rat. He remembered that he had posted his strategy for solo mode in the chat. Kang Taeson opened the chat to check for new messages. What he saw in the chat surprised him, because differed from the usual picture. One of the players asked for directions to the source, but only the trader knew the way. Lee Tae-yeon insisted that it was necessary to get to the source for the sake of temporary safety, since in other places of the labyrinth one could die at any moment. Another player thought that the constant dangers were not so scary and laughed at Lee Tae-yeon's fears. Kang Taeson followed the messages and didn't understand what was happening. In his previous life, the chat messages were filled with the despair of players being attacked. Players of the past suffered from hunger and fear. Lee Tae-young would sometimes go into the chat alone back then. Now the players were wondering where Kang Taeson had gone. At this time, Kang Taeson was standing at the stairs leading deep down. He managed to buy a pair of fighter's gloves from a merchant. He descended into the dungeon, refusing to sell the giant rat's claws and teeth to the merchant, as he had other plans for these trophies. The merchant guessed that the player wanted to find the blacksmith. Lee Tae-yeon said that without the help of blacksmith Harfin, she would never have gone far in the labyrinth. Lee Tae-yeon explained that they needed to go deep into the dungeon, where slightly different laws apply. The second floor assignment began with an exit from the corridors into a bright space. The reward for victory was potions that were so rare that they could not be bought in shops. The lively chat was filled with messages addressed personally to Taeson. Kang Jun-hyuk sent a request to Daeson for a private conversation. Tae-san was very surprised that after reading his messages, another player wanted to go through the labyrinth following his advice. Kang Jun-hyuk explained that people's despair at that time was at its peak. They were killed by monsters and tormented by hunger. Kang Jun-hyuk tried to talk to the guard, but the guard ignored him even when he shouted. Kang Tae-san's post first helped Lee Tae-young. She shared her emotions in the chat, and her success made others believe in themselves. In his past life, Kang Tae-san had never heard of Kang Jun-hyuk, which means he must have died very early in some stupid fight. Kang Tae-san gave him some more advice, but Kang Jun-hyuk was surprised by this help, because he thought that everyone in the labyrinth was a rival. Kang Tae-san called his statement delusional. He himself, Lee Tae-young, Gum Jun-gun, were people whose planet was destroyed. What was the point of them competing? Kang Jun-hyuk had never thought about this before, but now he was puzzled. Kang Tae-sung explained to him that he himself saw the goals of the players in the labyrinth as becoming stronger, and asked about the mood of the people. Kang Jun-hyuk said that many in the community try to force fights on others, some don't pay attention, and some go crazy. Kang Tae-san said goodbye to Kang Jun-hyuk and entered the second floor of the labyrinth.